Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Owoh's Corner, my own little corner of art. And this is a bit of a surprise because on this eve of Christmas Eve, I am doing an afternoon stream, which, yes, is quite interesting and out of the norm for me. I usually do my streams early in the morning because I like to capitalize on the fact that very few people, if anybody, really stream in the morning. But now I'm doing an afternoon slash night stream. So I hope you guys enjoy. And I would also like to apologize for not streaming earlier, even though, yes, now I can say I do have a stream today and I didn't fully miss my schedule. I still feel kind of bad because morning streams are my niche. They're the thing that, people come to me for. But what can you do, really? Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna be working on this animation, my teaser trailer, and I did get some of it done, I believe. This is just a rough sketch of the first couple seconds of scene 5 of the round table that all of the characters are meant to sort of stand and work at. I'm in the process of redoing this zoom out segment, adding more detail to it. I do believe that this glowing 13 is perfect. I don't need to do anything to that. I've done the portal. I've done the character animation. I just need to do him walking through the portal, and then the animating the little spark of energy that comes out. For scene 3, I've done all this, and I'm also working on. Actually, I think the background is finished. I just need to do finish some coloring and do some last minute edits. Now this segment is done, which looks very freaking beautiful, very good. And scene 1, I believe scene 1 is done as well. I really just need to animate like the background, and I'll composite that in what's it called? What's that program called? After Effects. Yes. Whew, Lord have mercy. My mind is escaping me right now. I've reached big benchmarks and big points in my project, so now it's like I'm definitely not slowing down, but to see all this process progress I'm making, it really is heartening and fulfilling. Like even though I'm still working in retail, and even though I'm doing things that aren't necessarily in my degree, in my major, yet I'm still applying to jobs and I'm still doing other things on the side. But even though I'm still not getting paid for working in my degree, at the same time, I'm still doing something that I like, that I enjoy. And hopefully, after I finish this project, I can get into contact with some of my old college friends and college acquaintances, start crowdfunding and crowdsourcing, and really start working on an original show, or at least the pilot. And I do feel that when I get the pilot done, I can sort of start working on the show and maybe even open my own studio. Because, okay, like this is some business savvy stuff, but like essentially, there is a bit of a vacuum in Raleigh right now. Like Raleigh, I read in an article, I read in a couple articles actually, that Raleigh is the third best, is one of the top three cities to live right now. And in the most recent years, as a Raleigh native, there have been a lot of different housing projects and apartments being built in Raleigh, especially in Northeast Raleigh. Northeast Raleigh is sort of this mini uptown. We have downtown Raleigh, which has a bunch of the big corporation buildings and different um, sort of commodity hubs like bars, restaurants. We have buildings, we have offices and different stuff like that. And uptown Raleigh, northeast Raleigh, where I live, we do have we mainly have like a mini city. Like we have Triangle Town Mall, Triangle Town Commons. Then we have a Target, two Walmarts, I believe, and also like a mini shopping outlet. Like we have a Five Below, Ross, World Market, different stores like that are somewhat big and renowned, at least to us natives in their own right. Though our main issue would definitely have to be in the job market. Many of the jobs that are seen in Raleigh are mainly retail jobs, like working in shops and stores. There is no actual business. And while we do have Research Triangle Park, Raleigh Research Triangle Park is, I believe, in North. I actually don't know where Research Triangle Park is. It's like somewhere. But I do believe that Research Triangle Park is more on the outskirts of Raleigh. So like pretty much the pretty much the main city of Raleigh is more so like a waste. This is gonna sound like weird, but like Raleigh is more so gonna act as a way station for people who work in Research Triangle Park. Like you're gonna go to Raleigh, you're gonna live in Raleigh, but every morning you're going to excuse me, but every morning you're going to like make a commute to Research Triangle Park, which is like, yeah, I'm looking at a map right now. I'm sorry, like I'm supposed to be drawing right now. I'm looking at a map, but like it's NC State, Duke, and UNC, and so Research Triangle Park is like in the middle of those three universities. That is where Research Triangle Park is. So pretty much what people are going to be doing is they're going to be living in Raleigh, but making commutes to Research Triangle Park, working there, then coming home. And yeah, that's pretty much how it is, how it's going to be. And so essentially, what I plan to do in my life, this is just a bunch of talking and not enough drawing, not enough animating. I am so sorry, guys. I really should be on the money right now, but I'm not. Like, I'm just, I guess, like energized, excited, happy, whatever you want to say, whatever you want to call it. But, dang nabbit. Now, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. We have Research Triangle Park, but what we don't have is like actual jobs and businesses in Raleigh. So, what I want to do, hopefully, in my lifetime, is to actually start my own studio excuse me, start my own studio here in Raleigh so that I can make an industry. Because for the most part, what people often forget, especially like Raleigh natives, is that there is actually a love and an appreciation for art. There's actually a love and an appreciation for art here in Raleigh. We have the Raleigh History Museum, and there are also like frequent art galleries and different art related events that happen in the city. So there is an appreciation for art there. My intention and my plan is to capitalize on that love and on that appreciation so that I can create my own animation studio. And I've also done my research. There actually do exist like animation studios here in Raleigh, but they mainly do commercials and like lesser sort of animation services. Whereas my intention is to actually make shows and long-term products rather than my intention and goal is to make long-term projects and products rather than commercials. Like I want to make shows. I want to make Witches 13. I also have like at least two other shows on the back burner that I'd love to create after Witches 13 is done. One is sort of like a spin-off. The next one is more so like a completely original and a completely new idea and concept, which is definitely going to be fun when I get to it. And again, like, am I the best artist? No, I don't think so. But I definitely do love and enjoy art and the artistic process. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I think I need to make like a guide video or something on art envy. Like being envious of other artists, like that's something that I should definitely work on because that is a topic and an issue that should definitely be touched on. But what's strange is like I'll actually see other artists and I'm like, you know what? I'll go back in their timeline and I'm like, you know what? These guys had moments and times where they weren't good either. So I should not be too hard on myself. But to it's kind of hard to be easy on yourself because like you need a job when you especially if you graduate, like you need a job, you need something to you feel the urge and you feel the need to have an occupation that is in your field. Like honestly, when I every single like the first couple weeks when I worked at my job, like I'd say, "Oh yeah, I graduated. Oh yeah, I had my degree in XYZ." And they're like, "What are you doing here? Like you're smart, you're clever, you're XYZ. Why are you working in retail?" And I'm like, "It's just an in between until I find another job, until I find a better job." Cuz like that's like the crux and that's like the I want to say sad part or difficult part because and this is true for any education, not just art, but any education. It is hard to get your foot in the door. Like once you get your foot in the door and have at least one or two projects under your name, you're good, you're set. But if you're like the new guy on the block or if you're whatever have you for whatever you want to say, whatever you want to call it, it is hard. It is torture. It is very rough out there. And that's pretty much all I can really say is it's just rough out there. Cause like you will fight, you will cry, you will argue, anything and everything, anything and everything. And that's really all I can say is it's just rough, man. Cause at times it feels like you're fighting for scraps, or it feels like now I'll never say I regret my field. Like I'll never say that. No matter how bad it gets, no matter how bad I want to like not give up, but just like finally succeed in something. I'll never say that like, oh, I regret my field. I regret going to college. No, I don't, because I met many interesting, new and different people. So it's gonna be hard for me to say like, oh, I regret going to college, or no, I wish I never did, because if I did regret going to college, I wouldn't have the experiences that I have now. College were some of the best years I've ever experienced. Not just, and this is gonna sound a little mean or horrible, not just getting away from my parents, but like just being on my own and learning who I am. That was amazing. That was awesome. That was a great feeling for me of coming into my own and discovering who I was. And that's what time alone, time by myself really did for me is I learned and I discovered what kind of man I am. And I know that sounds a bit esoteric or weird or what have you, but honestly it's true. Like it's honestly an amazing feeling. Now you've got me talking emotionally, honestly. Anyway, I'm almost done with this. I'm almost done with this animation. It and honestly, it's been a long time coming. Like I've been working on this since, gosh, like before my grandmother passed. Like before she passed was when I finally had the guts or the nerve to finally say, you know what? I'm gonna stick it out on my own. I'm going to make my own show. Like, screw this. I'm not gonna wait till what? Till I get accepted into some industry. No, like, let me work on this by myself. And, like, through everything, through like trying to find a job, trying to go through college, trying to graduate and do XYZ, whatever, what have you. I'm finally making it to the home stretch. Like after I finish the actual animation, the only thing I really need to do is just the what was it? It was the animation, compositing, then I needed to add sound, edit everything together, and then I'm gonna be done. And honestly, that's wild. This is maybe half a year. Well, no, like right now is about the time. So this teaser trailer is a year in the making. Like, wow. Actually, when I actually think about it, like it's close to a year. I think no, ain't no. I wouldn't say a year because I think I actually started this in I want to say May maybe because I started working on this before I actually started streaming, but it was after. So like just a little under a year. A little under a year in the making of me starting this project and working on it. And honestly, I will say that I am somewhat saddened because I do wish that I could have gotten more done. And I am somewhat saddened that this project is taking me long. But honestly, if I'm being completely honest, it's better to take a year than to not work on this project at all. Like, honestly, if I'm being realistic and honest, it is better to have started on this project and this project take me a year than to have never done this project at all. Like, this is honestly amazing. And just working on this project, it feels as though my skills in animation have grown and I've gotten better at my craft. Like I can definitely say the Amobi of 2015, teenage Amobi, teenage Amobi who just booted up Adobe Animate and like was working on a freaking ball bounce animation. He would have gasped, dropped dead at like in only a few short years you can do this. Like yeah, I can do this. We can do this. It's amazing. I just still need to work on my bad habit of comparing myself. Like, honestly, I think, and this isn't just me, but I think everyone who has that habit of comparing themselves, I think it just stems from wanting to grow and wanting to develop. Like, because that's the thing, we all want to develop and we all want to get better at our craft or get better at whatever it is we choose to focus on. So that urge to compare ourselves and to try to maybe not copy, but at the very least be on par with that person who we look up to or that person who we desire to be like. It stems from the desire to grow in our craft, to get better, and to either make a name for ourselves or to either make a name for ourselves or like I'm getting so sappy, like I'm getting so emotional right now. I can't even finish my sentences. Sorry. Uh, I'm just gonna change the subject. Quickly think of something else to talk about. Something that's not mushy and gushy. Uh, uh, I guess. Hmm, magic. Yes, I will talk about magic and Ao's magic. Yes, I'll talk about magic in this world. So, with magic, there are certain, I want to say, affinities and proclivities. The main theme and the main focal connecting point in this world is that magic is based off of perception, and it's also based on the subconscious mind. So if you're a very technical person, you may like to think through your magic. If you're a very earthly person who loves nature, then nature is your focus, and you choose, and you more so use your emotions, different things like that. There are also different elemental affinities. Like some people may use water or fire as a focus. There are basically six elements: water, fire, earth, air, light, and darkness. And that's more so like a moniker or a representation of one's personality. So those who use water as a focus for their magic, they may be more patient or more wise. Fire, they're passionate, different things like that. That usually ends up being like the more emotional characters who use nature or who perceive magic as being more spiritual in essence. More technical characters, they just use math and like science and stuff like that. So it's like so like they more so use like magical circles and formulas, stuff like that. And they're the most expansive of the magical magic users. Dang, like I'm sorry, like I'm trying to change the topic because I got all sappy about like my personal life and how things have been going, and I want to apologize for that. Like I'm trying not to make a parasocial bond, but eh. It's kind of funny. I used to be like this very stoic, almost apathetic person, but like as I continue to talk, I don't know, like maybe I'm getting more emotional or whatever. I don't like talking about it. Now, where was I? I was working on this animation, and hmm. So, oh yeah, I was talking about magic. So with Ao's magic, Ao is the main character, and in this world, he is seen as the father of magic because he was the one who originally discovered it. In Ao's backstory, he was born in the year 2000 when I forgot the name of the sickness, when the uh, you see, this is what happens. I get emotional, I try to change the subject, and then in an attempt to change the subject, like I forget details. But essentially, there was like this sickness. I think it was called like the 7 day sickness or whatever, where people were getting sick, going into comas, and like it was just all around terrible. Ao it was born in the year 2000 during that sickness, and the children during that time, they were like the only ones really immune to it. So there's something special about being born in that time span between 1999 and 2001 that makes you a special child, and that's going to be explored later on in the show. But essentially, Ao is one of those children who was born in the year 2000, and after some time, while he was still in the bunker, he became a scientist. His areas of focus were, I want to say, dang, I forgot his areas of focus, and like that's a big factor in his magic. But essentially, he's a scientist. I believe it was maybe like a chemist and a meteorologist, or like a meteorologist and a some other form. I think physics as well. Yeah. His majors were physics, chemistry, and meteorology. So he dealt with like the fundamental forces. And so he essentially ran some tests where after this sickness, and like again, he was somewhat, I wouldn't say obsessed with the sickness, but it was a formative part of his development because he was exposed to many people over those years who became sick. So he was trying to figure out this cure or why it happened, XYZ. And so essentially what he learned was that it was initially believed that the cascade, the event with like all the meteorites hitting the earth and like world reset, it was initially believed that, oh, it was this foreign disease that the meteorites carried over from like this unknown world. That's technically not true. The real truth of the matter is that what happened was, because the cascade happened and the cascade hit, it essentially jump started a dormant element that was already in the earth. It sort of started this function and this cycle that was dormant and was never activated. So like imagine if we never had the water cycle and then boom, big event, and now we have the water cycle where water is refueled and different stuff like that. And so the reason why people got sick was because this cycle was restarted. It caused people to change, grow, and develop in response to this new system and new cycle being introduced in their body. And essentially, what AO discovered was that this new development allowed people, it not only extended their lifespan, but it also allowed them to do other things. And one of those things was magic. It allowed people to augment themselves, augment their environment, the other people, play